Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. On today's tutorial, I will teach you how to alter a basic jacket block into a 3-panel jacket block. Hi, my name is Ayo and welcome to 011 Clothing Tutorials. On this channel, I upload DIYs, pattern drafting and sewing tutorials. If you haven't subscribed yet, kindly do so. And do not forget to turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. So now, let's get right into the tutorial. Thank you! This is the basic jacket block which I drafted in a previous tutorial. The link to the pattern drafting tutorial will be above and in the description box below. The 3-panel jacket block is made up of 3 pattern pieces: the front panel, the side panel and the back panel. It looks exactly like a man's jacket. However, in this case, this jacket will be shaped for a woman's figure. Recall that when I constructed the rectangular box frame within which both the front and the back blocks were drafted, I used the formula bust circumference divided by 2 plus 2.5 inches for ease. This is the width of the rectangular box. So already on the bust, I have added an ease of 2.5 inches. So what this simply means is that when drawing out the rectangular box for the basic jacket block, the width of the box must include the ease that you want at the bust area of the final jacket. I used 2.5 inches in my own case. It is recommended that the ease at the bust area of a jacket should not be less than 2 inches on the half block. This is because a jacket is always worn over another garment like a blouse, a shirt, a camisole or even a dress. Also, recall that this block is the half block, half of the front and half of the back, just like it is always done when drafting a pattern. So the 2.5 inches ease on the block will equate to 5 inches on the finished garment. I won't alter the bust area at all. I will leave it as it is. If you don't want as much ease in the bust area of your jacket, this reduction should be done when drawing out the rectangular box frame for the basic jacket block. To start the alteration, the first thing I will do is to extend the tip of the front shoulder dart to 2.5 inches below the waistline. On the front pitch vertical line, I will measure and mark 1 inch upwards from the armhole line. I will now draw out this point horizontally till it touches the front armhole curve. This point, where the horizontal line touches the armhole curve, I will draw a vertical line from this point straight down to the hem like this. I will also go ahead and draw the back pitch line straight down to the hem like this. On the front block, at the 2.5 inch point below the waistline, I will draw a horizontal line using a pencil. From this 2.5 inch point, I will measure 0.5 inch downwards like this. I will draw another horizontal line like this. This line is the new side seam line. This old side seam line on the basic jacket block is no longer needed. This is the center back and this is the center front of the jacket block. On the waistline, I will measure the length of the waistline from the new center back to the center front. This gave me a value of 21.5 inches. The measurement from the new center back to the center front on the waistline gave me a value of 21.5 inches. Also, the block that was drafted is in half and not the full block, just like it is always done when drafting a block. So to get the actual waist circumference on the block, I will multiply 21.5 inches by 2. This is 43 inches. But the waist circumference measurement that I'm working with is 35 inches. I want an ease of 3.5 inches on the waistline of the finished jacket. So 35 inches plus 3.5 inches is equal to 38.5 inches. Half of 38.5 inches is 19.25 inches. So this 19.25 inches is what I want on the waistline of the jacket block. But what we currently have is 21.5 inches. So the difference between these two values, that is 21.5 inches and 19.25 inches, is 2.25 inches. On the waistline of the jacket block, I will include a total dart width of 2.25 inches. The darts will be on 3 locations on the jacket block. The first dart will be on the front middle line. The second dart will be on the side seam line, while the third dart will be on the back line. I will start with the back dart, and the dart will be measured out on the waistline. For the back dart, I will measure 0.75 inch to the left of the back line on the waistline. And to the right of the back line, I will measure 0.25 inch on the waistline. I have used a total of 1 inch at the back of the jacket block. But recall that the total dart intake that should be on the waistline is 2.25 inches, and I have already used 1 inch out of this. So the remaining dart width should be 2.25 inches minus 1 inch. This is equal to 1.25 inches. Next, I will move on to the side seam dart. I will use 0.25 inch on both sides of the side seam line on the waistline. So on the side seam line, I used a total of 0.5 inch at the side seam of the jacket block. But recall that the total dart intake on the waistline should be 2.25 inches. But what I have left after using 1 inch at the back of the jacket block is 1.25 inches. I have also used 0.5 inch out of the remaining 1.25 inches at the side seam of the jacket block. So the remaining dart width should be 1.25 inches minus 0.5 inch. This is equal to 0.75 inch. I will move on to the front dart. What I have left for the dart intake is 0.75 inch. This will be used on the front middle line. From the front middle line on the waistline, I will measure and mark half of 0.75 inch on both sides of the middle line. At the 2.5 inch point that I marked below the waistline, I will measure and mark 1/8 of an inch on both sides of the front middle line. I will now draw out the front waist dart like this. I will draw the upper half of the side seam dart like this. I will also draw the upper half of the back waist dart like this. This side of the dart should be a slight curve. I will use my hip curve for the dart like this. From the second dart leg on the first horizontal line, I will measure and mark 0.5 inch outwards like this. I will measure the width of what I have here at the end of the front waist dart. I got a value of 3/8 of an inch. The standard length of the pocket mouth opening for a lady's jacket is 6 inches. I will add 3/8 of an inch to the 6 inches. The 3/8 of an inch is the width at the end of the front waist dart. From this 0.5 inch point that I measured beyond the dart leg, I will measure 6 inches plus 3/8 of an inch in a diagonal way like this till it touches the second horizontal line. I will first measure the 6 inches and then 3/8 of an inch. Then I will mark the point on the second horizontal line. This point must extend into the side panel of the jacket. I will connect these 2 points together with a diagonal line like this. This is the pocket mouth opening for the jacket and it must extend into the side panel of the jacket. I will connect these 3 points together to give me the lower half of the side seam dart. Next, I will move on to the hip line. I will measure the length of the hip line from the new center back to the center front like this. This gave me a value of 21.5 inches. The measurement from the new center back to the center front gave me a value of 21.5 inches. So as to get the actual hip circumference on the block, I will multiply 21.5 inches by 2. This is equal to 43 inches. The hip circumference measurement that I'm working with is also 43 inches. But I want an ease of 3.5 inches on the hip line of the finished jacket. So 43 inches plus 3.5 inches is equal to 46.5 inches. Half of 46.5 inches is 23.5 inches. This 23.5 inches is what I want on the hip line of the jacket block. But what I currently have is 21.5 inches. We have a shortage. So the difference between these two values, that is 23.25 inches and 21.5 inches, is 23.25 inches minus 21.5 inches. This is equal to 1.75 inches. So I will split this 1.75 inches into 2. For the back, I will use a value of 0.75 inch. For the side panel, I will use a value of 1 inch. This dart leg will be connected to this side. From the back line at the hem, I will measure 1 inch to the right of the back line. We have 0.75 inch left. To the left of the back line at the hem, I will measure 0.75 inch. I will connect these 2 points together like this with a curve and a ruler. I will also connect these 2 points together with a curve, but I will make sure that the curve passes through this exact point where the first curve intersects the back line. I will move on to the side seam line. At the hem, I will measure and mark 0.5 inch on both sides of the side seam line. I will connect these 2 points together with my ruler like this. It remains this other point, which is a little bit tricky. I will take note of this point where the side seam line intersects the pocket line. At the point of intersection, I will move inwards by the width of the end point of the front waist dart. The front waist dart is 3/8 of an inch wide at the end point. So from this intersection point, I will measure and mark 3/8 of an inch like this on the pocket line. I will now connect these 2 points together with my ruler like this. By adding 0.5 inch to both sides of the side seam line at the hem, I have added another 1 inch to the hip circumference, which we do not need. So I'm going to remove this extra 1 inch equally from these 2 points at the hem of the back line. From this point, I will measure and mark 0.5 inch. I will redraw the curve like this. This shaded part is no longer part of the curve. On this other point as well, I will measure and mark 0.5 inch. I will redraw the curve. This shaded part is no longer part of the curve. So these are the curved lines that I will be using. This particular line on the side seam line, I will go ahead and make it curved like this. Using a Tipex, I will get rid of the old line like this. I am done with altering the basic jacket block into a 3-panel jacket block. I will trace out the front panel. I have pinned another pattern paper underneath the front area of the block. This is what I'm going to trace out. Using my tracing wheel, I will go ahead and trace out the front panel of the jacket like this. This is the front panel that I traced out. I have gone ahead to make the tracing bolder with the marker pen. This is the center front. This is the break point, which is on the waistline. This is the break line. This line is the extension of the shoulder line beyond the neck point. This is the initial upper starting line of the basic jacket block. This is the new upper line that I drew 0.5 inch above the previous upper line. I have to do some dart manipulation technique on the front panel pattern. From the lower part of the front armhole curve on the side line, I will measure and mark 3 inches downwards like this. I will connect it to the bust point like this. I now have a temporary side dart at the side of the front pattern. I will slash open the pocket line like this. I will slide the dart leg closer to the side seam line up to the bust point like this. I will also slash this side dart leg like this up to the bust point. I will also slash the shoulder dart leg closer to the shoulder tip up to the bust point like this. I will close the shoulder dart like this. I will sellotape it in place. I will also sellotape back the waist dart that I previously slashed open. If you are working with a fuller bust, some of the shoulder dart will be transferred to the waist dart. Do not ignore it. Place a small paper underneath the opening at the waist dart before sellotaping the waist dart in place. But in my own case, the shoulder dart has been transferred only to the side. I'll place a small pattern paper underneath the opening that I have at the side like this. I will sellotape it in place. The bust dart should end 1.5 inches from the bust point. So I will measure and mark 1.5 inches from the bust point like this. I will now draw out the shape of the side dart. We are done with the front panel for now. Next, I will trace out the back panel. I have placed two pattern papers underneath the jacket block. I will trace out two back panel pieces. I will secure the three papers together with my pins like this. This is the outline of the back panel, which I'm going to trace out with my tracing wheel. I am tracing out two back pieces because the center back of the jacket will have a back vent, which is commonly known as a slit. This is one of the back panels which I traced out, and I've made a tracing border with my marker pen. This is the second back panel. Please take note of how the two back pieces are. Both are traced out such that one is for the left while the other side is for the right side of the body. So I will write on this piece left side as 1. And on this other piece, right side as 1. In a separate tutorial, I will teach you how to create a center back vent for a lady's jacket. Stay tuned for this tutorial. I will now go ahead and trace out the side panel of the jacket. I have here another pattern paper which I will place underneath the side panel area. This area that I'm highlighting with a red marker is the side panel area. I will pin the pattern paper to the side panel area. I will trace out the side panel. I will mark the underarm notch. This is where the sleeve will be anchored to the base of the underarm area. I will make sure to trace out the hip line, the waistline, and the armhole line as well. I will remove the jacket block. I will make the tracing bolder like this. I will mark the underarm notch. This is very important. I will add 1-inch seam allowance to this side of the side panel. This is the side that will be sewn to the back panel. This 1-inch seam allowance at this side will make it possible for me to increase the size of the jacket later on in case of possible weight gain. I will add half an inch seam allowance to this other side that will be sewn to the front panel. We can't have a big seam allowance here because there's going to be a pocket at this side. I will add half an inch seam allowance to the upper part of the side panel. At the hem, I will add 1.5 inches hemming allowance to the hem of the side panel. For a quick recap, I added 1-inch seam allowance at this side that will be sewn to the back panel, 0.5-inch seam allowance at the upper part and also at the side that will be sewn to the front panel, 1.5-inch hemming allowance at the hem. I will fold the hemming allowance along the original hem line of the side panel pattern like this. I will now cut out the side panel pattern. This is the side panel pattern. I will cut a pair of these on the main fabric.